right, so let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into Web3 and specifically the Ronin network and what this means for games like Axie Infinity, but also maybe for the bigger strategy that's happening around projects in the Web3 land. So we'll break it all down for you. My name is Paul Barrow. I'll go back into TechPath. All right, so a couple of things I want to hit on just to kind of give you guys a framework of, what happens in Web3 gaming, because it's a little bit of a gaming culture. I'll go to, our friend Stash. He's been hit pretty hard here, of course, with the Ronin community. And they're basically talking about a couple of things with Axie Infinity. He's probably mentioned Axie 5 to 6 times over 3 years in videos. And he's basically claiming Axie's not dead, but it's, the game is not what he wants it to be. However, with that being said, if you look at the performance of Axie Infinity, they're still number one on the play to earn chart. And if you look at their social score, let me kind of zoom in on that right there. I mean, they're number one by a long way. So if you look at their marketplace also, the marketplace overall stats right now, if you look at the 30-day, I mean, you can kind of see this volume at over 1.3 million in ETH, total sales 220,000, Axie sold still around 200,000. So this game is still very, very active in the Web3 ecosystem. Further into this, one of the big things that happened with Axie, of course, was the Pixel migration. Pixel, of course, moving over from Polygon into the Ronin network. That was a big win. If you look further into this on key metrics right here, just to give you guys an example, look at this rise. This is 180 days, and this is active daily users past 180, and you can kind of see this rise here. Sure, Pixel's definitely one of the viral games, and of course, that being on the Ronin network is part of that. We're going to get into this with our interview today with the Axie team as well. I want to go over to CoinGecko just to give you guys an example also, which this is the thing. Ronin is now at an all-time high in terms of market cap. If you look at the volume on Ronin, also very impressive, holding it around 10 million. Not bad in terms of this period of marketplace. And if you compare this to one of the top 10 tokens out there, Cardano, in the same period, also in September, also hovering around 10 million. So for the fact that Ronin is doing this much in terms of transaction, this is a big deal. This is a big deal, I think, for Web3, but it's also, I think, a big initiative for what's happening within gaming. But the point is we're trying to go through and do our 2023 and 24 Web3 and gaming predictions. One of the things that we do is our research team builds our checklist for all of these projects. And this is the checklist for Ronin and Axie. And we look at it on these categories. Active community, they've done it. Mass appeal demographic, they've done it. Self-custody and top wallets, not there just yet. Cross-platform. Console mobile, I would say that there is some attempt there, but it's not fully integrated across platform at this point. Multi-game ecosystem, definitely in play. NFTs on major marketplaces, that is not available right now. Easy onboarding. This is another problem, and I'll talk to Aleks about this as we get into it, but not completely there. We're going to give them a chance to kind of respond to this. Innovative, definitely. Creator economy, I think there would be maybe an argument there as to whether they have one or we think it's a little bit weaker. CEO, absolutely visionary and adaptable and understands the market. And then, interoperability with third-party games, I think that's a question mark that still needs to be answered. We've done an illustration for you that will make it very simple to understand, I think. And it's what we call the walled garden versus the network effect. Now, these are the gaming ecosystems that we think are doing really well. You've got Gala, a walled garden. It's closed. You've got Ronin. With pixels coming in, that starts to kind of open this up a bit. It's interesting. And then things like immutable-x, which also with Beam coming over from Avalanche, also starting to get interesting. And then Flow, also a walled garden. But if you compare this out here into the wallets that are out there, many of these struggle to get that interoperability. And then you look at things like Sandbox, Mocaverse, all those projects that you see down there. And then Solana, which seems to be opening up pretty much a small castle for Web3 gaming. Obviously, we saw Honeyland Star Atlas in there. But the interesting thing for Solana, because it is an open network, is the potential for an EVM bridge, which could happen through Neon. So we've kind of covered that. That's a little token right there. in the corner. So it kind of gives you a visual on what's happening in the Web3 gaming space. So I want to invite in our guest today, and of course that's Aleks coming over from Sky Mavis, joining our show today. So let's just jump over to Aleks. Hey, Aleks, how are you, man?
I'm great, Paul. Thanks. Happy to be back.
Yeah, it's good. The last time we had you on, I was looking at our YouTube channel 1 year ago, and of course we were in the depths of the bear market at that time. And we've covered Axie over the years quite a bit, and we've had you on a few times. So we appreciate you coming in to talk about this. I want to go back to our checklist and just get your opinion on this, especially in the cross-platform console mobile side of things. Argue that with me for a little bit. Where are you guys in terms of mobile integration?
When you consider these platforms like the Apple stores of the world, right now Origins is available on Google Play, but still not
Right.
on the app stores like fully. So there is a little bit of a way to go there, but it's a priority for us. Axie Classic, which has just been re-released, we're working on getting that on the Apple Store. Which should be quite exciting. So there's a lot to look forward there. But I would say that Axie being mobile first should be counted as at least a semi check mark there.
Okay. All right. We'll get the semi check mark. Let's go into a little bit about the Pixels migration from Polygon. Why do you think that this occurred? What was obviously with the team that has integrated now within Ronin, what was I guess the mission here?
Ronin Network is still a curated chain. We are only working with a select few parties in more of a publisher type of relationship. So we can't actually work with hundreds of different of games, and that is by design. Because we think that by focusing our efforts on a couple of great founders and games, we are able to influence their design decisions and help them avoid making the same mistakes that we did with Axie, for example, so that they can succeed even more. So we look for experimentation and fast iterations. And we think that Luke from the Pixels team, he has that in abundance. So it was a great fit there. Jeff actually met him in Japan face-to-face for an Axie meetup. And I think they had a great conversation, which is kind of what led our team to take a deeper look. And when we were observing Pixels, we found that they had a core community, they had some great loops already, but we felt like they didn't really get the attention they deserved from Polygon. So they had about 10,000 daily actives, and after the Ronin migration, it went all the way up to 127,000. So what we call that is the Ronin effect, and we're very happy. And right now, I think you showed initially it's been growing massively, and we're very excited about even the native token launch there, which is going to be called Pixels. So a lot to look forward for when it comes to Pixels, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to the iterative approach that the team has.
Farmland over from Pixels. This is still riding on Ethereum though within OpenSea. How much of Pixels is running on Ronin?
So actually the land itself is going to be migrated as well. So this is the ownership of the land is the only thing that's not migrated right now. The rest of it is fully on Ronin Network, and the land is going to be coming. It's some technical work left to do there, and also I think some incentive design to make sure that people are actually migrating their Pixels land over, because whenever you do cross-chain bridges for NFTs, it's a little bit tricky.
Yeah, well, it has a lot of the DNA, I think, of Axie Infinity in general. Obviously that's migrated because of the fact that you had so many players that were able to adopt it so quickly. So kudos to what you've done there. What about interoperability? I was looking at this tweet right here, Mocaverse and Pixels Online, Phase 2 now live. But what about interoperability with Pixels? Is this going to open up some opportunities for you guys?
Axie interoperability means an interconnected universe where Axie, game characters are traveling between Axie specific type of games, and then eventually opening it up as the technology gets stronger and the IP gets stronger as well. And then you have a game like Pixels, which is of course pixelated. It's much easier for them to add different utilities from other games, so that they can add all of these other, let's say, NFT, for example, collections. So that's another way of doing interoperability. I think it's a good start, but for Axie, we want to make the Axie universe bigger with different interoperable experiences within that first, before we start adding new IPs, especially kind of opening it up fully. I think we will do
Yeah.
Axie IP partnership, let's say with bigger, different, like they said, Web 2 IPs. And we're exploring that as well, but we haven't announced it yet.
Okay. All right. So in terms of the roadmap for, additional projects going, I was looking at your ecosystem right here. You've got obviously Axie, Zoids, Perion. A couple of these, many people some will recognize, some may not. Why would this not be? I mean, I'm looking at Beam or things that are happening within Avalanche and Solana. I mean, there's a lot of building going on over there, Aleks. Why would we not see more projects coming into Ronin, especially now that Pixels has paved the way? Does this mean that we're going to see a lot more?
So it comes down to the curated approach. We get, I would say, tens of applications of games that want to launch on Ronin every single day. Right now, we are carefully picking and choosing the teams that should come onto Ronin, but it won't be like that forever. So this
Okay.
is a small leak here. Some of the Ronin community members know this, but a part of the roadmap is actually opening Ronin up so that anyone will be able to deploy on Ronin. So I'm very excited to do that, hopefully sometime in 2024. I
That's
think
going to be huge.
depending a little bit on, sorry?
That's going to be huge. That'll be big.
Yeah, so to me that's something I'm very excited about, and also that has to come with scaling solutions as well. So we actually expect to announce our scaling plans in Q1, so that Ronin can start supporting hundreds and if not thousands of games, and then you can think about Sky Mavis and the Mavis Hub as the main place where we will curate teams. So right now we are, let's say, we are permissioned in the sense that nobody can deploy on Ronin network unless they are working with us. In the future, anyone will be able to deploy, but if they then get attention from the community members, that's when we will pick them up and we will work even more closely with them from the Mavis perspective. And that's the plan for 2024.
Okay, so that's a big statement because that does put you guys in the league of a lot of these other chains that have kind of done that, in terms of drawing in developers. So the abilities to deploy within the Ronin network, I like that. It'll be interesting too because you guys do have a bit of an edge in the marketplace in terms of player community. I would say still one of the strongest, if not the strongest. We showed your sentiment score there from play to earn, still number one by far. In terms of that. So, and I like the fact that you're opening this up to so many new developers. So that's a good scenario.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I think INX has maybe 2,200 or something like on-chain users. It's in a totally different league of all of these other blockchain networks that are specified for games. And I think the counter argument there is, they have a lot of different things in the pipeline, but that is meaningless if some of these teams can't ship. The only thing we care about is data. Where are the users? And our belief is that if the users are using Ronin network, they should also actually, my belief was that whatever product that I used when I was kind of a degen back in the day, I should just buy those tokens because what else should I be buying? Like that's the thing that I use every day. So it's a very bullish thing, I think, for Ronin network that we actually have all of these active players. And I think it's actually undervalued by the market right now. And of course, it's actually hard to buy Ronin as well, because it's not listed on Binance or Coinbase.
And I think that is the thing that some people are missing. But the fact that you're opening up Ronin for developers, that's going to create, I think, some very, very good economies of scale because of the capability of growing. And Pixels has kind of already proven that in terms of just how quickly they've affected the Ronin network. Let's talk about Apple for a second. You guys rolled out a light version of Axie Infinity on the Apple Store. And I understand why. I mean, the issue with Apple is still a well-known issue. There have been some game devs. We talked to the Honeyland team here just this week, and they've kind of got a unique way to kind of go around the process of the App Store, still getting they're still extracting a 30% tax because the iOS ecosystem definitely not going away. Mobile gaming definitely not going away. How do the two meet?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm loving what Honeyland is doing. I think it's quite interesting to follow. As a smaller actor in the space, I think they can be more aggressive than what we can be. Whenever we try to ship something on the app stores, we have, if not the CEO himself looking at it, definitely feels like there's a lot of product people looking at our releases. So it also limits a little bit of our opportunities there. So we've actually taken a step back. And what we've said is that we have to be very aggressive on the Web3 side and really cater to the I guess I get people involved through that. And then it has to come organically, like the desire from people to own their digital assets in a new way through these app stores. And when they start demanding it, that's when the app stores are going to change. Of course, we're going to be a part of it, a part of the process. Just like what Epic Games is doing right now, they're fighting Apple. We'll join the fight to make sure that Apple is respecting people's digital property rights, which is massively important in this day and age. I think, at the end of the day, that's what we're fighting for here, and that's what will get people excited about the space. And when I'm looking at, I saw your initial segment here when we talk about Crypto Stash and his opinion on Axie, and we see this so much about people having oh, the game is not good. Actually, people love Axie Infinity, even the classic version of the game. The rock paper scissors type of gameplay. There's critical strikes in there. It's a lot of excitement. It has a strong emotional connection in people's heart, and I don't think you should underestimate that. But that is not to say that Axie is moving into an amazing place right now, because the quality of the IP is just getting stronger and stronger. And I think you can probably put a segment in here where you maybe show the trailer of the new Axie Infinity trailer that we released on a couple of days ago, which has over 2.7 million views on Twitter. Which I think explains which shows just where Axie is going from a quality perspective. Axie is going to be a multi generational IP. That's what I'm building towards. I think what the Axie community is getting annoyed at is we are willfully sometimes being misrepresented, or they might look at some old clips, or they might talk about as some kind of Ponzi scheme, and it's just not where we are at right now.
If you look at some projects out there, they've been able to crack the code on how to get onboarding done. A good one example that we've played and tested here in our own research lab is Honeyland. Honeyland was able to kind of bridge this. We've seen the functionality. Granted, you're getting a 30% tax on whether you're buying the HXD, which is the token that Honeyland runs. It's basically the RON token for them. And the good thing is, yes, there is a fee there. They're backloading it with some other benefits. So there are some interesting tactics that are being done within the iOS ecosystem. Why not go that route? I mean, because that seems like a solution that could work for Axie. Why not go that route?
So for Ronin, the Ronin wallet, actually, we released the first version, which had Web3 auth, so you could log in and create a user with just your email. And now we're actually shipping an updated version to that, which is using MPC. I don't see any problem with actually doing the way that the Honeyland is doing it. It's actually just about how will the Apple stores around the world accept it. But definitely the flow that we're heading into, and it is possible today as well. It's just not for Axie as an IP, which is so big and is being seen by everyone. If we do try to ship some of these features, it won't be accepted. So that's why it's not in there.
Obviously, within Solana, there is an open network capacity for this. What about looking at an EVM, whether it's using something like Neon or others, of being able to kind of bridge into other ecosystems with what you guys are doing? Is there any potential for that?
I think there's a lot of potential for this, especially as we start opening Ronin up. We'll see more bridges. I don't see any problem that people will be able to migrate from Solana, or even the other way, like if that's where they want to. At the end of the day, this is about owning your own stuff, right? Owning your digital property.
Right.
So that means that you should be able to do what you want with it, and that's where we are headed. Like I like thinking about parallel chains or parallel EVM chains as a potential scaling solution, something that I'm very interested in right now, and because I think Solana is doing great things when it comes to scaling, and it's showing that maybe Ethereum can be surpassed. But
right.
I actually think that the EVM or the Ethereum ecosystem should be leaning into ecosystems like Ronin even more, because we're actually going to be bringing in the players. I'm looking, like, my vision for Sky Mavis is to be the place where billions of people create their first wallets, because we monetize through wallets. Whenever they are in our wallets, similar to MetaMask, when they click swap, that's when Sky Mavis makes our revenue. When they use our marketplace, that's where we make our revenue. But even the Ronin wallet down the line can also be opened up for other chains, so that people that come into the ecosystem to kind of play Ronin specific games, they maybe they will just have the Ronin wallet for life.
But at the same time, fees are going to always be the issue. And I know that even we've tested within Ronin wallets where the fees are a little bit high. And if you look at what we've seen within the ETH ecosystem, I think that's why Solana has been able to crack the code here, especially in some of these games that have a lot of transactions, which it's clear that you are going to have that with things like Pixel and obviously with what you guys are doing in terms of opening up the Ronin network. How are you combating the fee situation?
Literally just right now, I transferred one RON, and I think the fee to transfer one RON on Ronin network is, but
we did this morning. This was a 10 USD Ronin transaction.
Did you mean you bought it from someone or you transferred on the chain itself?
This
is a buy. This has to be a purchase, I think. Yeah, you were buying RON with USD, right? So you're onboarding to the chain through fiat conversion, right? Yeah, I think that is a different matter because you are integrating with fiat on ramps, right? Okay. So there's a fiat, there's a fee there that these guys take, the banks and the fiat provider. That could be Transact or Ramp Network or whichever else you were using. But when you transfer on the Ronin network from wallet to wallet, I just did a transaction right now. It's in the cents, like it's 0.000042 RON. So
okay. So what? But getting onboarding, obviously that's going to be a big challenge because this is typically the way people would be coming into the network if they're brand new to the game.
Yeah, I mean, so they can also onboard directly through Binance, for example. But Binance, the relationship is quite solid, so that's another entry point where the gas fees is very low. But at the end of the day, I think it's the same issue that everyone has when they are onboarding into this ecosystem, right? Because you have to pay the banking the banking fee.
Let's talk about SocialFi for a moment. And we've had and looked at a variety of different SocialFi platforms, some of which have recently gone, a little bit viral, but at the same time, they've also recoiled. Not a lot of, transactions, definitely not a lot of user growth. When you look at the Web3 gaming space, and I was on with the Murray guys not too long ago, and they introduced us to this thing they call guild tech. And what are your thoughts on this, of building these guilds, or these guilds having the ability to build social interactions with players to create, kind of almost like a hive effect in terms of growth? You guys kind of had that with guilds in the beginning with Axie. So you guys were the OG of this. So what are your thoughts about SocialFi in the future?
I think it's interesting what they're doing with guild tech. At the end of the day, it has to stem from a quality product, many users, of course, interacting with it. To me, it's like another financial layer on top of it, which enables more jobs, actually. So when I look at these digital, like the blockchain games of the future, I see digital worlds. Right now, there are like smaller digital nations. And when I say digital nations, I mean that there are some things that people can do, right? They can play the game, they can spend some tokens, but you need to expand the nation so that you have more things to spend money on. And that could be, let's say different type of games, or more things inside those games, like another feature, right? All of these things help build out the nation, make it so that people have more money to spend on, more things to speculate on, so the network effects become stronger. And to me, that's the future of blockchain games. And that's really when kind of you can see all of these other more financial layers come into play. But we need more. I think we need a core community. We need a core game, and then eventually you can start building all of these features on top of it, which add more value to the nation, so to say.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about the expansion of networks and the gaming ecosystems, one of the ones that we're watching right now is Netflix. Netflix is continuing to grow their gaming ecosystem. Why not drop Origins into, the playable version into something like a Netflix, to where people could at least kind of discover this and really kind of expand on the Axie universe of people wanting to learn how to play it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great idea, and something that we actually get a lot of ideas from the community to add different distribution platforms. And we will do that as well. So actually what we are exploring is partnering with different Web2 studios to use the Axie IP. There are a couple of games that are kind of hidden out there that I
Okay.
won't say the name of, that we're trying out. We're seeing the retention metrics. We're seeing how does it work. And I think we're just, I think Axie will have so many different type of games because the IP in itself is so strong and colorful, vibrant, and we have enough funds to kind of keep developing it. So we'll keep trying, and then eventually we'll keep distributing the game in certain places.
Aleks, I want to hit on a couple of things here before we cut out. And one, of course, is AR VR. And you and I had an interesting conversation on this. And it was in our last video. I want to play a clip for you. Let's go to that clip real quick, and I'll play it for you. Because when you think about emerging markets, this, I think, has been an underperforming or underserved segment of the globe for quite some time. How far before we see VR coming your way?
Probably the VR world, if it gets to the point where it's as high fidelity and feels as normal as real life, then yes, I think it's going to be great. And then we might do something like that in Axie. But I think for me, I'm not the terrible bull on VR for now.
On the VR side,
are you?
Yeah. Well, I look at how far Meta has come in 1 year. So I think this MetaQuest 2 device, it will tell us real quick if we have a winner. All right, and of course, MetaQuest has told us, and I was looking at just the data on what's happening here on the app. #1 for this holiday season, and that's a big leap forward in terms of AR VR. Would you not agree, or what's your position on AR VR right now?
I don't really think it's changed. I think we need to see more commercial success. It still hasn't bled into my feed. Basically, I don't think the benefit is strong enough to make me take the next step yet. And I might be like a good person to when I say I'm bullish, we're probably late because I'm not so interested in that tech right now. So yeah, maybe that's a good touch point.
Obviously, Meta has done a pretty good job with being able to roll this out. The likelihood is Apple, with their Vision product, is also going to go in this direction. I think I've got a clip on this to show as well. Let's cut to that clip real quick. I want to show you guys something here.
I'm really excited to announce that we now have access to Vision OS polyspatial tools that are available in Unity.
So you can build an existing Unity application, whether it's a mobile game or a full 3D game, and target the Vision OS platform. And this will build in this kind of windowed mode.
You can move it around. This is a bounded area, and therefore it's a shared space. So animations work, materials all transfer over. You can also see how we're getting some of the reflections from the real world, which makes this look really cool. And if you move the windows around, you can also see how it's all integrated into the Vision OS. Really cool demo where you can see that we are basically scrolling through our environment, but we're not going beyond the extended area of the bounding box. So this is just a really cool use case that I think we can use a lot for games.
Definitely some leaps forward. Is this a potential for Web3 games like what you guys are doing at Sky Mavis in the future? What are your thoughts?
Sure. I mean, so to me, it actually depends on what the consumer wants, and when this tech actually becomes, like, when the platforms are big enough. So I would also say I doubt that they are looking at doing blockchain stuff right now because they have so much. They're trying to get into the mainstream with their own products, and I would say the same thing is true for blockchain in itself. It's just another tool in the toolbox, but the tools need to be better before we can actually see the real benefits. So that's what I'm focusing on for now. How can we show the real benefits of Web3 before we necessarily start using all other fancy tools, which also is another multiplier on difficulty. And I think we've started to see some of those mainstream things, like let's say the Mario Kart arcade GPVR, I guess it was called. To me, that's actually really cool. That's kind of, I want to see more of that stuff, and I want to see them, in the houses of my nieces. I want them to wish for, I want that game because I want to experience those new things. That's when you know that there's something special here.
Hey, Aleks, it's always good to catch up with what you guys are doing at Sky Mavis. So thanks for letting us know about the new information happening for 2024. That's pretty cool that you guys are opening
I'm
up
excited
a little bit more.
Excited to release more on that stuff in a blog post. Of course, there's a lot of our community which is very excited about this and wants to know the plan. It's been in the works for a long time. When you look at the Ronin roadmap, But I think that the general market, is sleeping a little bit on that. So hopefully this should be a nice surprise. And more stuff is coming too when it comes to the Axie economy. And we're always experimenting. As you keep saying, we're the OGs. We are. We're not. We're planning to keep building in the space because we believe that there's a massive opportunity here. We came to win. That's it. You're not.
I like it.
I think we're proving that.
That's the attitude to have, man. Take no prisoners. Hey, it was good seeing you, Aleks. Thank you so much for stopping in today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so maybe you guys are over on the podcast side of things. Make sure and jump over here to the YouTube channel. You get a chance to see the visuals of what these podcasts look like, because there's a lot. When you get into a Web3 podcast, you really need to understand what is going on right now, what is happening in the gaming community, and why this is so important, not only to society, but also just with what's going to happen in this tech in the future. So jump over here to the YouTube channel. It's real simple. Just search Paul Bear Network. You'll find us. If you're not following me on X, you can do that also. It's very simple. Just @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.